going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Viall Files Ask Nick edition. Hope y'all had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for your, flexibility with our programming notes, but we wanted to make sure that you enjoyed your Memorial Day. For anyone who panicked when not seeing an Ask Nick on Monday, we're here.
We knew your Tuesday would be like this freaky post-long weekend Tuesday where you feel bad and it's like a mega Monday, and we wanted you to have some Ask Nick in your life for that.
Yeah.
Scary car ride.
We have a fun little update for you. The team went to Schwartz and Sandy's last Saturday.
We did.
What is this?
It felt right.
This Irish cap.
I'm following my intuition.
Okay. It was wild. I didn't. Overall, like a nice little aesthetic. Schwartz was outside taking selfies.
I was the first one there.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm like, I have my finger up, like I'm about to go on a little rant.
And why were you the first one there, Amanda?
She was on time.
No, because she didn't read my text that we pushed the reservation back. So
get
off your high horse.
But I was still, everybody else was still late from the pushed back
That's
time.
True.
I was still the first.
You got there at 9?
Yeah, I did. Oh. I was there like on time. I wasn't even like a few minutes late.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, but like it's okay. I run a loose ship for stuff that's not like work and interviews and appointments and stuff. But I will say, I did say hi to him. Like he like walked up to me. He was like sort of by the front. Some people clearly, like some Vanderpump super fans, wanted to take pictures with him. And then he like walked over to say hi. And I was like, hi. By the way, like, and I felt weird. I was like, I'm on Nick's team. Like he's going to be joining us soon. Cause I like didn't want to like be like incog. I don't know. And he was like very nice. And then he was like, I've got the dogs this weekend. I don't know if I can stay.
He left and took care of the dogs. But we went in and we had, they have really good French fries. I will say that.
Oh yeah. You really liked the French fries. And also they have black cherry ketchup.
No, I hate that.
You hated that. I thought it was yum.
Some of the best steak places in the country have ketchup. Like, come on, Schwartz and Sandy. I don't need fucking black cherry ketchup. Give me fucking ketchup. You're not that fancy. I feel like that was Sandoval's idea.
That's a great question. Like what? I mean, that implies that he was actually overseeing business operations and not just making demands.
The staff was lovely. They had some interesting things to say, which will remain anonymous in between us. We want to respect. They have some strong opinions about Sandoval.
Yeah. It's the restaurant.
Not Schwartz. They all, they had nice things to say about Schwartz. We surveyed the staff.
No, we didn't just survey. We received information that was given to us.
We pressed.
It was volunteered information.
Well, we asked.
Well, yeah, but we didn't.
We asked around.
Yeah. No, it seemed like, as far as restaurant staffs go, like they seemed to be gelling and like doing their thing.
And that was a decent crowd. We left at like 11, so, but I expected it to pick up more as the night went along, and
it feels more like an earlier, maybe hotspot.
You think so?
Because it's not necessarily a club and it's not really a bar. It's more of a restaurant. Because when I went there after a show, closer to maybe like earlier in a night, like on a Friday night, it was standing room only, no tables open, no seats at the bar. And then when we went, it was like dead.
It wasn't dead.
It wasn't dead, but compared to how it was the other time I went.
What day of the week did you go?
When did I get my teeth whitened, Amanda?
When
was that?
I feel like it would have been on a Thursday. I feel like it was a Friday. Maybe.
No, it was a Friday, but I'm trying to think how many weeks ago that was.
Yeah. Because I remember, and you tried, and then you had the blue drink, and then you were like worried about it with the tea.
Deep throat that, yeah.
Deep throat.
Well, it was, it was something. Great French fries.
Great French fries. The lobster corn dog, I enjoyed. I love a corn dog, though. I don't really care what's inside. Just give me a corn dog.
They have a lovely staff. The people working for them seem to be very nice. Yeah, it was.
Then everybody ditched us. Derek and I were the last ones standing.
How late did you guys stay out?
Oh, we went to another bar after that.
I'm not late.
Yeah.
Well, you can drink more than me. Like,
yeah.
They gave us like a round of tequila shots, and I was like...
That was not tequila. That was vodka, which was a Natalie decision.
I wish our pop culture correspondent was here so we could talk about this. Vodka shots, what an unhinged move.
No, literally, like I've seen TikToks
She
about
asked for a vodka shot?
Yes, they asked her, do you want vodka or tequila? And
Natalie's not much of a drinker. So.
She decided vodka for everybody.
Well,
Maybe that's why. Because I had like one glass of white wine and that vodka shot on like a vaguely empty stomach, and I was like,
Oh yeah, I was
okay.
nervous. I didn't eat any dinner, so I was like, we're going for it.
Yes.
Oh wow. Well, it was really something.
It
It
was
was really something.
really something.
Also, don't forget, if you love your Ask Nick episodes, every episode of Going Deeper has a call, texting office hours, sweating the wedding, or just, it's a little Ask Nick at every episode of Going Deeper. So for all the people who love the calls, be sure to check out our episodes of Going Deeper. If for no other reason, they have all these relationship questions and stories that you have come to know and love. Also, don't forget that we dropped an update on Viall Files Classic last Friday. So if you haven't listened to that quite yet, be sure to go back and do that. It's an excellent update. And as always, don't forget that we drop 2 update specials every month behind Viall Files Plus. So if you love your updates, you can get 2 more every month behind Viall Files Plus. Go to viallfiles.com to sign up. It's a 7-day free trial, free to sign up. No skin off your back. Just check it out. You'll love it. I know you will. All right, let's get to our callers.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
Good. My name's Holly. I'm 33 years old.
My name's Will. I'm 31 years old.
Nice to meet you both.
And
How can we help?
So we both have different definitions of empathy and what that means to each of us.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into it. Holly, explain to me why you think you and Will have different versions of empathy, and then we'll hear from Will.
Yeah. So I think we have a mismatch of emotional backgrounds and experiences. And I tend to have very high expectations when I'm in times of crisis, because I have a very close group of friends and family members who are very empathetic people, and I'm a very empathetic person. So I sort of expect my partner to react the same way that I would react, or the way that they would react when I'm going through a hard time in my life.
Okay.
Whereas Will is very, he's always been very independent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always been very kind of steadfast and strong with his emotions. Maybe it's the male versus female kind of energies, but I think he thinks that, kind of keeping those emotions in is a strength. And so sometimes if I'm going through something very challenging or difficult, and I kind of vent to him or turn to him, the response might not meet my high expectations or what I'm used to. And then I, in turn, feel frustrated. And so that's kind of my take on it.
Okay. Will, do you have anything to add? Because I would love to hear an example, because I think that would be helpful to the audience. But before you have an example, Holly, Will, do you have anything to add from your point of view?
Sure. Yeah, I think there's definitely the difference in expectations for men and young boys as you're growing up, and kind of what showing emotions looks like. And my job is very high stress, and it's caused me essentially for the last 10 years, ever since I graduated college, moving every 6 months to a different part of the country and dealing with a high stress environment that required me to kind of compartmentalize and just kind of always be one speed and always happy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real thing. People who literally either have to compartmentalize. I can't say the word.
Compartmentalize.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't talk. Whether it's people who have experienced past trauma early in life, or just, like this job, whatever it is, like it's a kind of a fight or flight kind of reactions our bodies do. It's a survival technique. And so that's a real thing. So just, I guess, Holly, my question to you is on the topic of empathy, how do you empathize with Will and his needing to do this for his job?
That's a really good question. And that's a big challenge for me, because I do hold a lot of empathy for it and his background and his upbringing. And him and I have been we've done couples therapy, and we've been able to share and connect there. And so I do have a level of empathy for him and his job and the way that he's learned to process and express his feelings and emotions. But then I still can't help but sometimes feel frustrated if I don't get feel empathy in return, or if I don't feel understood in return. So to answer your question, I do empathize to an extent, but I could certainly do better. But then it's also like, how kind of patient do I remain with him? Because one of the conversations we always have is he'll say, I'm learning, you have to be patient with me. I'm still learning that.
Sure.
And I say, okay, yes, I understand that. But then how long does it take someone to learn that?
So here's my question or maybe it's one or both. Is your frustration more with Will's inability to empathize with something that you're going through? Or is your frustration with Will his inability to express himself emotionally and kind of disconnect as a need to kind of, like not maybe, you maybe see him stressed out regarding work and you maybe want to connect with him and have him open up, but he's just like, hey, everything's fine, everything's good. Is it one or both? Which one are you struggling with more?
It's both.
Okay.
It's both. And I've struggled with each one at different times. I think today it's more the former. It's more when I feel, because I'm an entrepreneur and starting my own company, it's a lot of ups and downs. It's a lot of high highs and low lows and tears and depression and anxiety. And I struggle with feeling like I can't turn to him when I'm going through those moments because he won't understand.
Okay. And do you want him to understand or do you want him to empathize? Because they're not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah, I want him to empathize, and it's something that we've tried to work through. If I feel those things, his response might be, "Wow, well, I can't imagine what that would feel like. I've never started a company." And I've kind of said, "Okay, well, of course, but have you ever felt anxious? Have you ever felt depressed?" And he'll kind of say, "Well, yes." And I'll kind of say, "Well, try to think about how that felt," and that's how I'm feeling.
Do you want him to feel what you feel, or do you want him to just empathize with what you feel?
That's a good question. Maybe I don't fully understand the difference, because when I think of empathy, it's like I sort of feel what the other person's going through to an extent. Even if I've never been through it myself, I can call on a time or an experience where I felt similar and feel those feelings.
Sure, but not everyone has that skill. So there is that, and I think that's a unique skill. And also there's the other side of it is sometimes people find that frustrating. Like sometimes people find that, people make something about, they'll come to a friend or a partner with a problem and be like, hey, this is really bothering me. I'm really frustrated. And someone will be like, yeah, I know exactly how you feel. I've had this happen to me. It's like, when did this become about you? And so I think there's a balance there. Do you have a specific example of a time where you went to Will and said, hey, babe, like this is really, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, I'm depressed, a specific topic, and you remember a reaction he had that you found frustrating?
Yeah. Just maybe last week or so, I was feeling really, really down because I thought that there was a potential merger about to happen with my company, and it fell through. And I just felt very uncertain about my future, extremely anxious, extremely depressed. And I was sitting on the sofa crying. And Will was sitting on the floor playing with the dog. And I just felt very disconnected and unseen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any response to that, Will?
Yeah. I can tell when it's happening. It's tough sometimes. I remember that night and a few others when I'm, I feel bad that I don't have much left in the tank after, being at 7,000 RPMs all day, and she's got something crazy like that going on, and I know about it, and I can't bring myself, I guess, to express or really dive in deep because I'm so burned out, and I feel bad for that. Obviously family comes first, but
what's the middle ground? Because I can understand, Will, that you're just you're taxed and maybe you don't necessarily have the bandwidth to get into it. But I'm also hearing from Holly, it sounds like in that moment where she was feeling sad, you were playing with the dog, and she felt disconnected. Is there like a middle ground where, because I do this, right? As a guy, I'm always just like, let's find a solution to this problem, and I've had, just last week, Nally got upset about something, right? She was really upset. And I'm thinking in my head, well, Okay. I understood she was upset. I'm thinking, I get why you're upset, but I don't necessarily agree with the intensity of which you're applying to this situation, because I think as time goes on and things will work itself out, and I immediately started pitching solutions and shit like that, and she was just like, I just want you to fucking listen and let me be sad, and just I want you to hear me out. She just wanted a safe space to express herself and feel like it was okay for her to be upset. And I did the thing that so many guys often do, which is immediately start pitching solutions, which, even though I'm not meaning to, almost kind of invalidates her right to like just fucking be mad about it or be mad about something. And I'm just wondering, is there a middle ground where, Will, you could just recognize that Holly's upset about something, and whatever you're doing, just kind of be there, put your hand on her shoulder, just say, hey, listen, like, I'm here. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. And just kind of hold her. I don't know, like without necessarily getting into it, because I just, would that make you feel better, Holly? Because I can imagine you're upset and he's just like playing the dog and you kind of feel invisible to him. I can understand why that might be frustrated. And Will, I'm wondering, is there something that's stopping you from doing that because you are afraid that if you do acknowledge it, that you'll have to get into this whole conversation of which you're just like don't have the energy for?
Sure. I think I think that's great advice. The just even a little bit of physical touch would probably help a little bit more, and be there physically as well as try to be there emotionally. Yeah, I think that's a great tip.
What are your thoughts on that, Holly?
Yeah, my first thought is, this is something we've worked through in therapy, and I think that Will does a great job at, is when we first started dating, he was always giving me solutions, and it made me crazy. And that was a whole other issue. And now he's done a really good job of not doing that. He tends now to listen. But what that leads to is me feeling this way and him just being quiet. And then I get frustrated because I'm like, I'm crying, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, and you're just being quiet. You're not saying anything. Like, why aren't you saying anything? You're just playing with the dog. You're being quiet. So you kind of hit the nail right on the head with that middle ground of like, what is that middle ground between providing solutions and just being silent? And so that's what comes to mind for me. Is I agree with you on finding that middle ground. I'm just trying to think through what that looks like. Because another thing that I struggle with, and this is probably me again with my unrealistic expectations, but authenticity is a really big personal value of mine. And so I struggle if we're having an interaction and I don't feel that it's authentic. So A, what is the middle ground? And B, is it authentic to Will?
Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, Holly, I feel like that's more of a you problem than a Will problem, because that sounds almost impossible. It's just like, because it's like, which one do you want, Holly? Like, do you want him to, listen to your needs and try to meet your needs the best he can? Or do you want him to give you his most authentic reaction? Because they're not the same thing, and we have to accept our partners, as they are. We can always ask our partners, to work on themselves, to, the fact that you guys are in couples therapy, amazing. You're always willing to let's just try to figure this conflict out, whatever that is. It's always fair to ask our partners to be the best versions of ourselves, but it's unfair to try to change our partners. Like we have to accept them,
I agree. Yeah.
who they are, and they can try to be better versions of that person. But, Will's never going to be as empathetic as you are. It just might not be in his DNA, And thank God, it sounds like you have other people and other friends in your life that can give you the type of empathy that you're requiring. But I think you're doing yourself a disservice by, thinking, well, if my partner loves me enough, he will figure out how to give me the empathy that I require, exactly how I require it. I think you're setting yourself up for a little bit of disappointment in that regard, just because it's just not as easy for everyone. And so I think it's for you finding that middle ground of what would, it's just because like I think you said the key word, like I felt disconnected. And I have found in like my relationship, and we've started using that word a lot, like being connected, right? Because in the past, when one of us is frustrated, it can be like, well, why aren't you doing this? Or I'm upset that you did X, Y, or Z. And then the other person responds to you, telling that, hearing why they upset them, as opposed to like, hey, babe, I'm just feeling a little disconnected from you. Can we find a way to connect? And then that way you two are more on the same page of the goal is to be connected. The goal isn't necessarily to give you exactly what you want or vice versa. It's just our goal is just to feel connected. Our goal is to try to be on the same page. And I think sometimes in relationships, we want our partners to, do X, Y, or Z because we've decided that they have to do this to make us feel loved or make us feel enough. Rather than like, all I really want to do is feel like I'm on somewhat of the same page. I just want to know they care. I want to know that they want to go out of their way to try to stay connected with me. And that's helped my relationship to just have that common goal of being connected as much as possible, even if that doesn't mean like you're getting exactly what you want when you want it.
I wonder if maybe reframing also, like if there's something that's not coming naturally for him and he's trying and like there's one part of you that's like, wait, this feels inauthentic. Am I forcing him to do this? Is he not here and present with me? Like reframing of like, wow, he's willing to do something uncomfortable and unfamiliar. Like if even just like that little switch and viewing it as like, oh my God, he's really showing up for me right now. Just because it doesn't look like how my sister or my mom or whoever else is maybe like more like accustomed to that. It might not look the same, but it's still like in that way, it's even more impressive that he's like still trying to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. I love both of those points. I really, really like the kind of middle ground of just, how can we just be connected? How can we feel connected? I think that seems very approachable, and it seems like something we can actually work on in that moment where it can simplify things a little bit. And I also think that the reframing is great, and that's why I like the fact that Will is willing to do things like come to couples therapy with me and talk through this. It does mean the world to me that he's willing to do that. And so both those points are very, very spot on.
Yeah. Because, it's just, I think Holly, I don't want you to set yourself up for disappointment. And empathy it's a skill to a certain degree, but on some level, it's people just kind of naturally have that instinct, and some people naturally don't, right? And so it sounds to me when you get upset, like there's like you have this almost out of body experience that's looking over to Will being like, I want him to do X, Y, and Z, and this is how I want him to do it. And when he doesn't meet those needs, and as an entrepreneur, I'm guessing you have a bit of type A personality in you.
Very much.
Yeah. And so control, and you have a process, you have expectations. As an entrepreneur, that serves you very well, I'm sure. In a relationship, yes. I think you have to try to work on being more kind of malleable with your expectations. And like we said, kind of reframe what those expectations are, because staying connected in a relationship, that's always obtainable. All it requires is two people giving a shit, but doing exactly, what your part, having an expectation of specificity and knowing that you're going to get frustrated and disappointment when they don't meet it, exactly like you could as an employer. It's just, you're really setting yourself up for failure. And so, like, trying to think about what he is doing rather than what he's not doing might go a long way.
Yeah, I think so. I think having strict expectations is not a great thing really in any area of life, because it does set yourself up for disappointment. So that's something I definitely do want to work on, is kind of letting go of expectations and attaching myself to outcomes. And I think I definitely need to work on that. And that's why I'm in therapy too.
I've also learned too, it's just like there is, it's like we want our partners to read our mind. I did this thing. I would do this thing where it's just like, if I have to ask, then it's less meaningful, where I don't want to I don't want to tell you what to do. I don't want to be your boss. I don't want to be your parent. So then it's just like, but in a relationship, you're not mind readers, so you have to state your expectations. So in this scenario, right, where you're crying, feeling depressed, Will came home from work, and he's playing with the dog. My guess is normally you wouldn't say anything. And if you did, there might be some kind of passive aggressive remark in terms of what he's not doing, which then could trigger Will because he's already tired. He's already frustrated. But instead, you could just pause and say, hey, babe, I'm feeling a little down and I'd really love to just be by your side. Can you just be next to me? And if nothing else, I would love to just feel connected to you. I'm guessing that's going to be far better received than you never do this, or why can't you ever be there for me when I'm upset? And I think the language we use when we are frustrated with each other can go a long way because, it's a build too, right? And when you hear from your partner, it's just like, you never fucking do this. Like, why can't you ever, the words ever and never and always I think are just very triggering in relationships, because when I hear that, I'm thinking, what do you mean never? I fucking did this what are you talking about? I tried last week, and especially if it's something that we struggle with, and so here, Will could be working on something, doing his very best, and then all of a sudden you throw out, you never do this, and that can set a person back, being like, wow, I literally fucking tried, like so much for trying.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to be very careful with the language we use when we're frustrated too.
100%. And I think we do a good job of that. I'm, my business is all around therapy and because I just think it's the savior of the world. And so I'm very good about using I language, and I feel like this, and can we work on this? And I feel XYZ, but that's not necessarily that much better to be like, I don't feel supported. I feel sad. I don't feel connected. Sometimes maybe tonality as well.
Sure. It's to be like, hey babe, can we connect here? Can we connect? Because I language is a little, or I and you, we and us is anytime you can replace I and you with we and us is always going to go a lot further. I
like that.
I'd love it if we could just sit next to each other right now. Could we just hold each other? Can we just be there next to each other right now? I'm feeling a little down,
I really like the thought of replacing I with we, because I know not to use the word you, so I'll use the word I a lot, but I like the idea of replacing I with we. I think that just seems a lot better to me. That's like such a simple thing that I haven't thought about.
Yeah. And just give them some space to not meet your expectations exactly as you want them. And like I said, just reframing goes a long way. Anything I'm saying, what do you think about what I'm saying? Well, and is it resonating? Any thoughts? Any pushback?
Yeah, I think that's right on the money. And I've expressed before, hey, I'm working on it. Right after this, in fact, I'm going to see our guy that we meet with for couples therapy one-on-ones. That way he can help me out a little bit, and he can help be my translator for
that's
when
great.
I in private would say one word, he can say the 500 that's really in my head.
Yeah.
And so I can learn those tools and be a better partner.
I hear you, man. Well, I got to say, Holly, I mean, we get a lot of people writing in, and it's mostly women, and we are always asking if their partner can come on. And Will's literally a 1%er, because I would say 1 out of 100 of the guys are willing to do what he did. So there is that.
That means the world. And I'm a huge fan of your show and you. And I know that I've heard you ask people to come on together and kind of challenge people to bring him on. And I haven't really heard that happen. So I'm very impressed that he's here. It means a lot.
Yeah. Something I tried, Will, too, that helped me kind of, be a little bit more vulnerable is like when I was, and maybe you could do this too, Holly, is that again, like instead of starting, like when I was frustrated, again, it's very easy to say, I'm frustrated at you and here's what you're doing, or something like that, but I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but I've often led, hey, I'm feeling a little insecure right now. because I've kind of put the onus on me, because maybe it is me. I don't know. Maybe it's just an insecurity. Maybe I'm being triggered. Maybe it's not something you're doing. Maybe you don't even realize what you're doing, but I'm feeling insecure. And can we sit down and talk about it so that we can feel more connected? Because right now I feel disconnected, and I don't know if it's something you're doing, but I am feeling a little insecure. And then you can get into like what you think it might be happening, or maybe if you have some notes. But even that, I think, goes a long way to not triggering our partners, because it's like as soon as we sit down, even like I've done this a million times. It's like, well, I'm upset, so I'm going to try to, say it in a way to not pick a fight. But as soon as I say, hey, I'm upset and here's what you're doing, immediately your partner just gets defensive. You're just, and all of a sudden that's when all the, we've all been in fights where it's just like, how did this start turning into a fight? I was literally trying not to fight, but when we feel attacked, we want to defend ourselves. And so we just have to try to figure out a way to communicate our frustrations without triggering or attacking our partner. And I think when we lead with, hey, this is something I'm feeling insecure about, can we talk about it together? Then now you feel like a team. Now you feel like you're trying to tackle a project together. And that project is, how do we get more connected? Because one of us is feeling disconnected. And it's not necessarily anyone's fault. But if the group being you two, has this common goal of just trying to feel more, trying to feel connected to one another. And again, like whether it's physical touch, whether it's like words of affirmations, if you guys discuss each other's love languages, it's always good to hear how you feel loved, but how you give love. And you need to know how Will receives love, because how he receives love, I'm guessing, is probably very different than how you receive love. And I think in relationships, we make that mistake of, well, this is how I feel loved, so this is how I'm going to love on the other person. And they're just like, well, it doesn't work for me, So we have to try to meet in the middle of giving our partners what they need. And we didn't know how they receive that love, because too many of us think, well, I like to be hugged and I like to be held, so I'm going to hold them and hug them. And some people are like, yeah, that doesn't do anything for me. I'm a bit suffocated, so I think just getting on the same page there, it goes a long way as well.
Definitely. We're all about the love languages.
Awesome. Well, so what could Will say, the holding you, acknowledging you, but if Will, like say, if he recognizes you're upset, or even if you need to say, hey, babe, I'm just feeling a little down, can you be there next to me? What is something that also he could say that would meet your needs without necessarily getting into it? Like, would it be helpful if he said, I'm here to listen, or, do you want to talk about it? Like, what would be something that he could say to you that would make you feel like he cares, without necessarily, doing something a friend might want to do? Because ironically, for someone who's so good at empathy, you're having a hard time empathizing with the fact that it doesn't come easy to Will.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Two things come to mind for me. First of all, and I think I expressed this to Will last week, but as far as what he can say, if he doesn't necessarily understand or can relate, I think I told him just to say, hey, like I love you no matter what. And I think I believe in you, I think is what I said. I love you and I believe in you. And I was like, just those words will make me feel really positive right now and happy, because I know in life what really matters is him and my relationships and my health. And so just hearing that he loves me no matter what, and that he believes in me, means the world. So that's kind of the biggest thing, and the thing he can say immediately. The other part of my brain, I think that when somebody asks me questions, it makes me feel like they care. Like if I'm going through a hard time and they ask me questions about it, I feel like they care. So I think those are kind of the two different approaches, depending on if he's got the gas in the tank to ask some questions and try to get to the bottom and understand it, or if he just wants to say, hey, you know what, I love you no matter what, and I believe in you. I think those are two things that would help me.
Is that doable, Will?
Absolutely. One of my favorites that I try to use when I remember it, and my favorite thing to ask is, would you like support or solutions? And so that way I can kind of helps me understand before we get into it.
Yeah,
and,
I think I
do my best.
I think that's great, and I need that too. Honestly, like I know I've learned how to be much more empathetic in my life, and I do this every week and talk to a lot of people. But like even in my relationship, I do need often like Natalie to let me know like what she needs in that moment, because I sometimes don't know. I don't know if she just wants me to listen. I don't know if she wants me to like gas her up and support her, you know, because sometimes I feel like, me gassing her up or me, you know, asking her questions, I think I sometimes inadvertently go into solution mode, right? And then that can come across as dismissive or, you know, to, you know, what she's feeling in the moment. So is it okay? And it's Holly, it's okay that he does that without, you know, you being disappointed that he doesn't know which one you want in the moment?
No, actually, it's funny because it's been a little while since he's used that one. And we got engaged after like 6 months. And I actually remember kind of my first spiral when we were dating. And he asked me, do you want support or solutions? And I remember just being like, oh my gosh, he's the one. Like he knew exactly what to say. So I actually really like that. I feel like it's been a little while since that's been his question. So yeah, let's bring that back.
All right. That's great. Yeah. That's been really helpful for me to like literally ask, like, what is it you need in this moment? Because I have been the person who's made the mistake of thinking that I know, and then I make it worse. And then I get frustrated because I'm trying, and then it feels like my efforts are wasted. And then you feel disconnected. So.
Oh yeah. There was one time I was crying and spiraling, and I remember he didn't ask me that. And he told me to be a better prioritizer or to learn how to prioritize. And I was like, you know, so yeah, no, I think that's spot on.
Yeah. Well, I told a partner once to fix their feelings. So you know, there was that. They're just like, I feel this and I feel that. And I'm like, well, fix your fucking feelings. Yeah. I got in trouble. Yeah. It didn't land. So it did not land.
Yeah. Yeah, you told me to learn how to prioritize and execute. I was like, oh my gosh, you better walk away right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be emailing you in a month or so, few weeks, just to see how you're doing. And please keep us updated if you have like kind of a breakthrough moment, or if there are any other challenges that arise. And like, we're so invested. You guys are so lovely, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep you updated. And thank you so much for letting us come on and talk through this. I think you guys gave us such good advice that we can work with. And yeah, we'll be excited to give you an update on how some of those tools and little language hacks you guys gave us will go.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
No problem. Good for you for guys for looking at. You're a handsome couple. So hope you keep it working out.
Thank you. Well, right back at you. I think you and Natalie are awesome, and I just love like your book and I've listened to every episode of the podcast, and Allie and Amanda, y'all are so cool too. And I'm just like big fans of you guys. I talk about you all the time to Ben, all the time.
Oh my gosh,
we're so glad you called in.
Well,
so happy to have you,
Penn. Thanks for enduring us. We appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, and quit setting the bar so high. I do hear about it all day, every day.
Oh, like Nick's the most emotionally intelligent man in the world.
Well, I think at home I don't always nail it, you know. So it's much easier when you're not involved. So yeah, like I said, I honestly, Haley, very few guys are doing what Penn did right here. So he came on.
Yeah, I'm so impressed.
He clearly cares, and that I think knowing how much he cares, I think would go a long way for you, because you know that's you know, and that's his authenticity, you know, because it's never going to come as natural to him as it does to you, and that's okay, because that's part of who he is. And it might go a long way too.
I need to write that down.
For you, is to find the time to maybe go out of your way to let Penn know what you appreciate about him.
Yeah.
You know, I do think that's something in relationships that men have a hard time acknowledging, but it goes a long way. Like, I think men just want to feel appreciated and valued. And I think sometimes we're used to getting notes, and we take notes where, you know, especially if we have an athletic background, we respond to coaching, but like every once in a while we could use a pat on the back, and pats on the back go a long, long way. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. No, that's a great thought. Yeah, that's a great thought. And this today was everything for me. I'm going to be very good about that. This just means the world.
All right. Well, good luck, you two. Appreciate you calling in. Look forward to you guys giving us an update in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for having us on again. It was a huge honor. I'm going to be like on a high for a while.
Well, appreciate you both coming on. Yeah, thank you. All right, take care.
Appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
A question I have for people in the comments is, do you have an example of a really effective middle ground? Because when you said that, I was like, oh my God, yeah, there was this one time I was really upset and my boyfriend didn't know what to say, but he just started kind of like rubbing my feet, like really tenderly.
Yeah.
Or like, it was like pressure. Like it was like a really.
Yeah, I don't know if we give our partners enough credit for caring.
Yeah. I think it comes from like fear. Like I think it's so often whenever I'm like, oh, wow, was I being a little too pessimistic or like something I talk so much about my relationship is like giving him benefit of the doubt. When I'm not doing it, it's always because I'm like scared. And yeah.
No, but sometimes we're afraid of saying the wrong thing or fucking up or making a bad situation worse,
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, Natalie and I have found that just the goal of staying connected and using that language, hey, I'm feeling disconnected or I'd like to be more connected to you, helps because it's less about, then you're no longer like in fights, you're not like trying to win or lose the fight. When you're, hey, I feel this and I want you to do this to make me feel differently, then it becomes about like arguing about like leverage or like negotiation of like, hey, I want to feel more connected. How can we feel more connected? And so maybe it's not about like the fight itself. You're just like, also like hold hands or like have some physical touch while you're arguing or discussing things. It calms you. You feel a physical connection with your partner. Your, tensions can lower. Literally just physical touch can lower our heart rates and things like that. You take a breath, and then you feel like there's a common goal between the two of you rather than you're trying to win this fight and feel validated by winning, I don't know.
Totally.
Just a couple little things.
Amazing.
This podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, we all love therapy, we certainly advocate for it on this show. Obviously, taking care of your mental health first and foremost starts with you. No one's going to protect and take care of your mental health more than you. And a great way of doing that is talking to a mental health professional, a therapist, if you will, just to get through and discuss your problems, whether it's relationship challenges, personal job challenges, finance challenges. Maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed or emotionally taxed. Whatever the reason, it's just good to have someone to talk to. And BetterHelp is making it easier than ever before to get into therapy because so much about therapy is just finding, honestly, so much about therapy is just getting started. And it can certainly be a daunting idea. BetterHelp, they're working with therapists, more and more therapists every day. They're working with thousands of therapists. You can make sure that you can connect with a therapist that, you connect with. The way to get started, you can be talked to a therapist in less than 48 hours. You just go to betterhelp.com. You fill out a quick assessment of the type of therapy that you're looking for, the reasons why you're considering therapy, and they will assign you a therapist they think is right for you. And the good news is that if it doesn't connect, if you don't vibe out with them, that's okay. You can let them know that, and they will try to find someone else for you that you feel more connected with. Because if you don't feel a connection with your therapist, you don't feel like they understand you, see you, or if you maybe just don't feel comfortable with them, you can make sure you find someone that you feel the most comfortable with, that you feel like is actually impacting you in a positive way. And BetterHelp makes it easier than ever before. Find more balance in your life with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/VIALL today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/VIALL to get 10% off your first month. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this show.
Folks, if you're someone who is like sort of into makeup or is not sure where to get started, Kosas has you covered, literally, because it is this awesome brand that I would say like really straddles skincare and makeup because all of their products take into account, like they have active ingredients just like my skincare would, but they also have that like added like coverage of makeup. For example, like I really like their Dream Beam sunscreen. It has 40% SPF. And what's great is that it also like visibly brightens your skin. So whether you're going to use this as a base to then apply more makeup on, it has like those primer qualities, or if you just want to wear it plain as is, you are good to go. It's dermatologist tested, safe for sensitive and acne prone skin, hypoallergenic. The other thing that is awesome is if you are shopping for makeup online and you're not exactly sure like what shade might be the right fit for you, they have a 5-step shade finder quiz. And I found it super intuitive and easy to take. And it actually includes like photos of skin tones. So you can kind of make sure like visually you're getting that right comp and you're not in your head trying to be like, do I have peachy undertones?
Millions of people have tried Kosas, making it one of the best-selling makeup collections at Sephora. Their popular award-winning Revealer Concealer has over 1,000 5-star reviews and counting. That's incredible. So don't choose between wearing great makeup and taking care of your skin. Right now, Kosas is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase of $50 or more when you go to kosas.com/VIALL. Go to KOSAS.com/VIALL. That's kosas.com/VIALL for 15% off your first purchase of $50 or more, plus free shipping. How's it going?
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm 25. I recently broke up with my long-term boyfriend a month ago, and now one of my guy friends is shooting his shot, and I don't really know what to do.
Okay. I guess first question, as far as the long-term relationship, it's only a month old. Like, how's your heart? How you doing? Are you over it? Are you still processing? Where are you at with that?
I think I'm actually pretty over it, and I think I was over it for the last month or so of it. It just took me a long time to kind of get the courage to end the relationship, if we're being honest.
Okay. And the friend who's shooting their shot, who is this friend? What are your thoughts on them? Is it you don't know what to do because you're not sure how you feel, or you don't know what to do because you know how you feel and you don't know how to let them off without breaking their soul?
I actually feel like I do like this person, and I probably have for a while, longer than I've cared to admit. But since I was dating someone, I just kind of shoved all of those feelings aside. So this is actually more surprising to me that he has been kind of acting this way since the breakup.
So then what is the thing that you're worried about the most?
So I'm trying to think of the background. So he hasn't actually said how he feels, but there's just a lot of actions that are showing that he feels this way. And it's a little bit more difficult because he also just moved to a different city. It's in the neighboring state. But he's coming back at the end of the month. And he was like, I want to take you out to dinner. But it's like, is that a friend dinner? Is that a date?
You asked that?
Things have kind of changed. Yeah.
What do you say?
No, he asked that to me.
He's like, is this a friend dinner or a date? He goes, I want to take you out to dinner. You're like, cool.
Yeah.
And then he's like, is this a friend dinner or a date? And then what'd you say?
No, he hasn't said that. That's what I'm kind of wondering. Like, is this a date or is this just a friend dinner?
Okay. So what are the things he's doing that make you feel like he's shooting his shot? Because, I mean, I could argue that the friend is just being a friend and saying, hey, you just broke up with your long-term boyfriend. I want to make sure you're feeling okay. Let's go to dinner and talk about it and catch up.
So the week that I broke up with my boyfriend, there's like a sequence of events that happened. So I broke up with my boyfriend on a Monday, and on Tuesday night, he called me, which is fine. I was like, okay, not a big deal. Just checking in to see how I'm doing. Wednesday, we went to dinner with us and our other friend, and then not a big deal either. Thursday, he texted me. He was like, I'm at the bar across the street from your place. Come over. And so I went over, and then we just hung out, and it was friendly. He was like, I'll see you tomorrow. And then in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to see you tomorrow because that's your last day in our city and your parents are coming in at nighttime. So that's probably not going to happen. And then on that Friday afternoon, he texted me asking what I was doing. And he was like, I want to drop something off for you. And I'm also going to go pick up some food from this very specific place and bring it to you if you haven't eaten. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Whatever. And he said, okay, but I don't want to eat. He was like, I don't want to eat at a restaurant. And so I'm kind of thinking, okay, do you want me to invite you to my place to come in? Sure. So I invite him to come in. He brings all the food. And then the thing that he gives me is his old soccer jersey from the same country that both of our families are from, which is kind of not weird, but kind of random. And then he also is asking me questions that no other guy friends have just asked me. Things like, what does it look like when someone's trying to put effort in with you? What does your ideal relationship look like? Some other personal things, my dad passed away not that long ago, and he was like, what was your dad like? I wish I would have gotten to meet him. And then he gave me a kiss on the cheek when he was leaving. And then he left to Miami the next day. And also he spent his last hours in our city with me. and like our other guy friends didn't see him since Wednesday night. And he's been like texting me like nonstop, sending me gym selfies, saying like, come move to the city that I'm in. Like you can stay with me, things like that.
Okay, I mean, this
That was
all
a lot,
sounds
sorry.
it all sounds very promising. I mean, but what was your relationship with him beforehand? Is he like known as this kind of empathetic guy who, like for me, like I was always the friend. I think I'm sure in the past, indirectly led a lot of my women friends on potentially. I was always very quick to like talk about other women. I got very good at making it very clear that this was a friendship with women I was friends with when I was younger, or like certainly in my 30s, but when I was younger, maybe less mindful. But I always liked talking about relationships. I always liked asking these types of questions, and I always liked going out of my way for friends and doing nice things I cared about, certainly friends in need. So my question to you is like, is this a change in his behavior? Or has he always kind of been the friend, who does these types of things with people?
I mean, he's always been a really good friend, but it's just a lot more now. Like, it's just odd to me that he's like wanting to talk so much. He's like, I went to go visit like a medical school the other day because I'm going to start school in the fall again. And he was like, he remembered that I was going. Like, I don't even remember telling him like when and where I was going. And he was like, I want to hear all about it. Like, text me when you're done for the day or give me a call. So it's like he's always been a good friend, but this behavior is new. Like the amount of, I feel like, attention is new.
Huh. Well, I mean, listen, all you can really do is, find out.
So my question then is like, how do I, like, when we go get dinner, I feel like it has to be brought up because now it's just like this, like, no one's really saying anything about how they feel. And I don't want to talk about it over text, right? So how, like, what would that kind of look like?
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's a perfect way, right? Because I see why in person makes a ton of sense. But all of a sudden you can be in person and I could feel like, well, what if I put myself out there at dinner and I don't get it also can add to the pressure, I'm not trying to psych you out, but
yeah,
something over text might give them an opportunity to marinate on something as well.
Okay. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I mean, you clearly have rapport with this guy. You have a familiarity. You guys know each other's tone and sarcasm. So, great if you want to do it in person. I'm just saying, like, I don't think you should feel like, oh, well, this is not something I can text because X, Y, or Z.
Okay.
What feels most comfortable to you?
I mean, probably texting, just because I feel like that's just when he's coming is still just like a few weeks away. So it's been difficult to kind of sit in this unknown, I feel like, situation about how we feel.
What if you made it into a game? Like, you asked him a question. It sounds like he likes asking you deep, thoughtful questions. And what if, to prime this, you could have some fun with this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could say, like, what is a secret you've been holding that you have been dying to, get out and admit to? It could be pretty on the nose and see if he takes the bait.
Yeah.
Maybe let me ask you this. Have you been reciprocating some of these behaviors, right? For example, you're saying it's just a lot. He's doing all these things. Are you reciprocating your actions? Are you like the type of questions you're asking? Are you paying more attention to him? Are you deliberately making him more of a priority that he could be picking up on the same thing?
In the last week, I feel like I have been.
Okay.
Like asking more questions. Like he sent me a few selfies. I was like, okay, I guess I'll send you a selfie too.
Okay. Yeah, do more of that. I think just kind of, just maybe you do that too. Start acting like this is a guy you met on a dating app and you really like, and and how would you flirt with a guy that, you started matching with, and see if there's a build there,
Okay.
mentally kind of protect yourself that like you don't have an answer, but like you're just, and as we know, guys can often act like a boyfriend, but not want to be a boyfriend.
Yeah.
You know? And does
Exactly.
this guy have, from what you know, does this guy have fuckboy potential?
No. Like for how long we've known him, he hasn't really been seeing anyone and has like kept that. If he has, he's kept it like super private and hasn't told anyone. But there's like not that I can even like imagine any fuckboy energy now.
What if you like sent him a random text that said something like, "You've been the best part of these past few weeks for me"?
Okay, I would do that. Yeah.
Like
Then
give him some
you're
Just
putting
kinda, like,
the ball
soft-
in his court as
Yeah.
opposed to, trying to
I
like pull
agree.
something out of him. It's kind of like leading with a compliment. You'll get more
Yeah.
out of him.
Yeah, I mean, so there's just little things that if he's doing all these things, you could reciprocate and see if that kind of leads to. And I mean, again, like the question of like, hey, you start playing like random questions and be like, hey, I got a question for you. What's a secret that you've been keeping because you're too afraid to admit?
I would do that, especially just because, yeah, I feel like I mean, not a ton of
If
time
you're
has passed,
really
like, a
bold-
few weeks has passed.
If you're really bold, you could
Okay,
you could say you could ask that question and go, I'll go first. I have feelings for you. Or I've been thinking about you more than just
Okay,
friends
over
lately.
text.
Yeah, Kate's
Yeah,
like,
why
"Fuck
not?
now?"
Why not?
Why not?
That's
Okay.
the best because you can be bold and you don't
Yeah.
have to. You don't
I
have to be
agree.
there in person with him.
Yeah.
You don't have to face him.
Yeah, it'd be like, I have feelings for you, or
Honestly, yeah.
I've been thinking about you more than just friends recently. And then if he gives you the whole like, oh wow, really? I didn't know. Like what? Thanks for sharing. But you could be like, then you have the right to be like,
Yeah,
then just don't get mad, but just be like, well,
agreed.
this doesn't change how I necessarily like. I wouldn't say, well, I am confused because I honestly thought, do you always send selfies or like?
Okay.
Or
I think I'm gonna-
one day you could text him and say, am I nuts or are we in love with each other?
Or like, are we falling for each other?
Yeah. You could just kind of be goofy, break the ice. I mean, listen, if he likes you, that confidence will go a long way. And
Okay.
if you're off about this, then you have a reason to be like, WTF, kind of,
Yeah. Okay. So I'm at the airport because I'm about to go on a girls trip. And so he's been texting me and like, I haven't responded because I'm about to be with my friends for a week on the beach. So maybe just text him that maybe when I get back. Like take the week to like kind of think about it when I'm with like not talking to him, or what do you think?
I can't think of a better place or occasion to send a risky text
Yeah,
than
then
with my girlfriends
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
That sounds
Is it-
perfect.
I mean, unless there's a chance that this like ruins the vacay if you don't get the answer you want. That's the only downside. But the upside is you are with your girlfriends, you are on a beach, and who
Okay.
knows? By the end of the week, you guys might be exchanging nudes. That's always fun.
Yeah, and okay. I think you're right.
What if you're going
Okay, I'm
for
gonna do that literally tonight when I get off
what
the
if you're
plane.
going for romantic and he goes full guy on you and you're like, what's the secret you've been holding? He's like, well, I've been dying to see you naked. Would you be happy with that, or would you be bummed about that?
I think I would actually be happy about that.
There
Maybe
we
it's
go.
embarrassing to admit, but
It's not embarrassing.
It's not embarrassing. It's a
flattering.
compliment.
it's flattering. Yeah.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do. All right.
Okay.
Tomorrow you're gonna go for it. Tonight you're gonna land and you're gonna put on the best bathing suit you brought, and you're gonna take a sexy selfie mirror and just be like, hey, what do you
Okay.
think of my new bathing suit? I just got it. I'm dying to know what
Yeah.
you think. Yeah, that's what it said. I got a new bathing suit, dying to know what you think of it. And then tomorrow hit them with the question.
Okay. I like it.
All right.
Sounds good.
You have to tell us how this goes,
Yeah,
please.
We're dying to find out.
I will.
All right.
I mean, either way, I'll find out my answer, right? Yeah,
All right. Well, good luck. And so now he's long distance, though.
it would be. Yeah.
One bit of advice I have for you, if he responds, in kind, is that don't let him be wishy-washy. Like, I think you come into this with
Okay.
fairly high expectations for the both of you. It's kind of like, all right, if we're gonna do this, like, we need to do this. I don't want to we know each other long enough. Like let's fucking do it, right? Because there is a long distance element to it.
Yeah.
It's going to take you guys both like really going for it. And, you know, I think you just say, hey, if we're going to do this, you know, you can still take it slow, but you need to be intentional. And I think that's, you put that expectation out there that if you're going to do this with each other, that you want both of you to be intentional with going out of your way, because I don't want this to turn it into some sort of like, let's just date for 6 months or let's see where it goes. Like, this is going to be a risk, you know, and that's the energy you want to bring. So anytime he's just like, well, I don't want to like risk anything, and be like, hey, life's full of risks and this is worth a risk to me. So we're going to do this or we're not. Be very kind of especially if he's like, if he lets you know that he's also interested, I think you go pretty definitive in terms of your expectations. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't put the ball in his court. Be very clear about what you want and be very matter of fact and come across as a person who knows what they want and what you want is him. And if he's not willing to meet your expectations, you're not afraid to say no to him.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I want, he can drive as well, but I want you to be willing to drive this relationship regardless of what he wants to do early on. Lead by example, so to speak. All right.
Sounds good.
Good luck. Have fun on your trip. Let us know. Yeah. Let us know how this plays out.
June Shine. I absolutely adore their hard kombucha. I think it is so good. When I found out they came out with canned cocktails, we're talking margaritas, we're talking vodka sodas, we're talking rum cocktails that have 8 to 10%.
8 to 10.
So it's 8 to 10% ABV, which is approximately 1.5 shots. So it's like properly a cocktail like you would get at a bar. And it's made with premium ingredients that taste amazing. Hopefully everybody knows how I feel about passion fruit, which is why I gotta champion their passion fruit vodka soda. It is so good. Truly better than any vodka soda I've had at a bar. But they also have, like, if you're a tequila fan, they have a margarita pack that has like a yummy mango, tropical
Natalie
lime.
loves a margarita one. You know, not a big drinker, Natalie, but when she does, she loves a margarita, and she is really big on the June Shine.
And especially in the summer, like, you're always on the go. Like, you're going to the beach, you're going to barbecues. And so it's like, while it's so fun to have like an at-home bar, when you want to bring like that at-home bar feel with you wherever it is, that's where June Shine can come in clutch.
June Shine can be found in over 10,000 stores across the country. It's available at all the retailers you're already visiting for groceries and alcohol, like Whole Foods, Target, Ralph's, Vons, Albertsons, Kroger's, Wegmans, Total Wine, Bevmo, Safeway, and more. We've worked out a special offer for our listeners. At any store, you can buy one June Shine package and get the second for only a penny. That's right.
What?
That's $12 to $20 in value. I recommend trying one of their best-selling variety packs. It's a great way to try all their delicious flavors. Go to juneshine.com/VIALL. Text them a photo of your receipt, and they'll Venmo you immediately. No like mail-in rebate or anything like that. It's so easy. That's JUNESHINE.com/VIALL. juneshine.com/VIALL. How's it going?
Good. Hi, Nick. My name is Abby. I'm 30 years old, and I'm in love with two guys and need help choosing between emotional connection and sexual chemistry.
Okay. So you're in love with two guys, or are we like
well, I
two
would
guys?
say I'm more like falling in love. Like, it's definitely there.
Okay.
I think I need to choose one to get to like that next step.
How long have you been seeing these guys?
For 5 months.
Are they aware of one another?
Yes, like in a respectful manner. So I've been very open and transparent from the very beginning that I wasn't looking for anything too serious. So they know I'm dating somebody else, but they don't know like necessarily the depth of my feelings or who those people are.
But they're both aware that you've been, they're both under the impression that they're dating you for 5 months, and that you've also been dating one other person, or that you're also just dating?
That I'm dating another person. And to add a layer to it is, although it's been 5 months and I do talk to them on a daily basis, these are long distance situations. So I've only really like physically have seen them, you know, maybe once or twice a month.
I love the fuckboy energy. I'm just fucking with you.
No, because I've been very honest. I feel like that's not like
Fuckboys.
totally fuckboy.
Fuckboys can be very honest. In fact, fuckboys are often honest.
Because otherwise they're players.
Yeah.
Well, to give some context, maybe this will help. I was in like a pretty toxic 6-year relationship that I ended about 2.5 years ago. And so I really took like the last couple of years, I didn't date at all. I really like put that time into kind of fulfilling like aspirations that I wanted to accomplish. And so it wasn't until about like 6 months ago that I really started dating. And because I'm 30, that 6-year relationship like ate up most of my 20s. So I've never really like dated. So I really wanted to have the opportunity to like be open to new connections and not necessarily like dive into the deep end with the first nice guy I met.
I hear
if that makes sense.
I you don't have to explain yourself. It's okay.
Okay.
I like teasing you, but it's still fuckboyish. It's okay. Hey, listen,
well,
it's fine.
Okay, whatever.
It's fine. It's fine. Listen,
I'll own it. I'll own it.
I don't
yes.
think, fuckboy, it's whatever. What is bringing you to feeling like you need to make a decision?
So one part is that I am like really falling for both men, and like I really want to devote my time and energy into growing one relationship, because this isn't me. Like I don't really particularly like dating two guys, although it's been beautiful. It's also very exhausting. And ironically, in recent conversations, they both have brought up that they're developing deep feelings for me and want to move into an exclusive relationship. So I feel like it's all just kind of coming to a head.
I'm assuming each of these men feel like they are without question in the driver's seat and don't know the full scope of your feelings towards the other.
That would be true. Yeah. And not that like I'm trying to be dishonest about it, but I also like want to respect their boundaries and their feelings.
Sure. Yeah. And it's not cut and dry. I hear you. And so one, you just really love their dick, and the other one, you really love their heart, or like, what do we?
Yeah, it's they're both like incredible guys. So they both like really hold a lot of characteristics and values that I really cherish in someone. However, like when I'm really trying to decipher one, I just have more of a emotional connection with, as in like, I feel like we've had deeper conversations. Like I can be super unfiltered, just really raw. But like the sex is kind of vanilla. Not that I'm unsatisfied, but it's just not like, he's not adventurous in that department.
Have you tried to be adventurous with him?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. How does that go?
That's kind of where I think where I just kind of got like discouraged, because when I did, playfully bring up, oh, maybe we try this or do this. It was like an immediate no. Really? And so I don't want to push somebody outside their comfort zone, but I also like...
What was the thing you tried?
A vibrator.
Okay. So you suggested to incorporate a vibrator into the bedroom, and he immediately said no?
Yeah, he wasn't even like open to trying it.
It's a huge red flag.
Which I understand, if you try it, don't like it.
It's literally not even about him. I find it to be insanely ridiculous. Does he have a little dick?
No, actually.
Really?
And that's what, like, the sex is just different. It's like, it is very passionate and romantic. And I am, like, I do like climax. However, like, your girl just wants to be like tossed around and thrown up against a wall a little bit, you know?
Hear ya.
And I feel like he doesn't have the capabilities to do that. However, I've never felt more of like my authentic self with someone than I do with him.
Orgasming for men is just so fucking easy most of the time, right? And for women, it is far more nuanced. I just think all men need to be mindful of that and open to that. And they don't have to understand it. They just have to know that that's just a fact of life, that they are not made, biologically, and in their sexual drives and desires and needs are met very differently than women. And for any guy to just shoot that down, to me, that's a red flag about a partner's willingness to be open-minded and work through and meet your needs and prioritize your needs.
Like over insecurity.
Yeah. Because,
which is wild to me when he's so like okay with having this open relationship. So it's wild to me that he's so timid about things like that.
Have you asked him? When he shoot it down,
I haven't.
You were just like, can I just ask you why you're so against this?
Yeah, you know what? That's actually a great piece of advice, is to ask him, because I really haven't.
Even Batman needed Robin's help sometime. Every superhero has a great sidekick. It's just literally not about him. But he can allow the both of you to make it about each other. You can literally use a vibrator in the bedroom for you two to connect in different ways, and
I couldn't agree more. And I feel like that's what's happening with this other guy, is that there is so much openness and so much adventure there that we're like really connecting in a different way.
Yeah. How is Mr. No Vibrator? How is he outperforming Mr. Vibrator and the emotional connection? Like where is Mr. Vibrator falling short?
I think I'm like just finding myself to be more filtered around sexy man guy. And like, we haven't gotten to those super deep conversations that I have with this other guy. However, like we do have very deep and open conversations about sex, which is lacking from this other gentleman. So it's like literally the exact opposite.
Okay. And have you tried with sex guy to talk about other things? I mean, again, like, and then going deep is, to me, it's interesting because, hey, I want to have a deep emotional connection with someone, but that doesn't always mean the ability to like have deep, philosophical conversations. Like, for example, like, Natalie and I have great conversations, but like, I'm definitely more inclined to want to be more philosophical about things than Natalie. And when we first started dating, that wasn't necessarily something that like kind of drove our relationship. Yeah, it wasn't that we just sit there and got, we didn't go, hiking and look at the stars and talk about the meaning in life all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, as our relationship evolved, as we become more and more comfortable with each other and really gotten to know who each other's are, that has kind of blossomed and taken care of itself. I have met other women that I didn't even necessarily date that like right off the bat, we would just like really get into it, but like, so that doesn't necessarily mean compatibility and love. And in one aspect, that means you're compatible. But I guess what I'm saying is both sex can evolve and both like ability to connect emotionally can evolve too.
Exactly.
And
so that's kind of my dilemma.
Well, so let's look at other things, other aspects, right? Because in a relationship, what are things in a relationship that are important to you? Like, how do you want to be loved?
Right, which is like what they both equally have these same like qualities that I really value, like in their own unique way.
What are they?
Somebody that is kind, intelligent, adventurous, outgoing, supportive,
flexible.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Honest, I think.
Secure.
Openness is really important.
Yeah. So how is non-sex guy adventurous?
I think in like the things that we do, he's very spontaneous. So like when we do get together, yeah, just like he's very outdoorsy. And so am I. So he's adventurous in life, but not in the bedroom.
Who do you have the most fun with?
I honestly probably sexy man, but I think that that's like, I mean, the sex is super fun. So that's like an additional layer to it.
what do you have fun doing with Sexy Man that doesn't include having sex?
We love to cook together. We love to like dance. We love to travel.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And when
I mean, I just like basically have fun with him no matter what. I could be in a cardboard box with him and like have fun.
Sex guy.
Yeah.
And what about non-sex guy? What do you enjoy doing with him?
Well, we enjoy like mountain biking and hiking, camping, going to like shows and concerts together. He's a little more bougier, so he likes to like go out to nice dinners and stuff like that.
What do you dislike?
But I like love our conversations. Like I'm intoxicated by our conversations. And I just like love like how comfortable I am. I love like our witty banter that we have. Like he just understands my humor.
Go ahead.
He appreciates my raunchy, cheesy jokes compared to Sexy Man. Does that make sense?
Okay. So, and that makes you feel more seen in that department, or you just like that he does that?
It makes me feel, like more understood, or like he understands my sense of humor, personality. And I feel more desired in that way by the other guy.
And does the sex man not make you feel, does he make you feel like he doesn't understand, or for whatever reason, not sex guy?
I feel like
he is like, he just early on, he made you feel like he got you right away. So then you were more willing to open up, where, you know, the sex guy never really kind of green lighted it. So you just decided not to show him that aspect.
I mean, that can actually be very true, because I met them both very similar times, but I did meet like Sexy Man like a couple of weeks after. So I was connecting with the emotional guy a couple of weeks before I connect with the other one.
Who do you think or know responds to disappointment better? Have you seen either of them not get their way?
I have, yeah. They're both business guys, so I've definitely seen them like stressed out. I've seen them, when like things aren't going good. And I honestly think Sexy Man handles it better. But like that's where I'm getting stuck at, is where I feel like with Sexy Man, it's like kind of not fluff, but I feel like it's all like lovey-dovey, happy. And then with this emotional guy, it's like we can actually like just really be honest about like what we're feeling. Or does that make sense?
Sure, but why haven't you tried that with the other guy?
I mean, I have. I just feel like that is not like our relationship. I feel like our relationship is just like very like, I don't know, like positive and like
your relationship,
sunshine and rainbows,
kind of whatever
right now, which I know is not like going to be forever.
Yeah, well, your relationship can be whatever you make it. And I guess, do you know the answer to if I said, hey, what's the possibility or the chances that part of your struggle that you're facing now is that you're basically have created a super boyfriend in these two guys, and your emotional needs are being met by one guy, and so you feel less pressure to insist that those needs be met with the other guy, and vice versa with the sex. So it's like, well, you know, guy A, he doesn't want to use a vibrator. Like, that's annoying, but like I still get to do it with guy B. And guy B, it's just like, well, you know, we have fun and we have to do this. And like, if he brought it up, I would love it if he wanted to go deep with me and he just instigated a conversation, but he doesn't instigate. So like, you know, it would be, I don't want to force the issue and I don't want to, you know, ruin our pattern. And there's less urgency on your part because, you know, guy A is already doing that.
That's actually a very, very valid point.
Yeah, because do you have any reason to? Because we know that you tried to incorporate a vibrator and got shot down by guy A. Do we know if you've tried to incorporate deeper conversations, at least on some level, and felt shot down by guy B?
Yeah, no. Like, I mean, we have had like deep conversations, again, not as deep as the emotional guy, but I haven't felt shot down. So I don't know why I'm being timid and maybe like bringing up some of those harder conversations.
I say this as a guy who loves to have deep philosophical conversations. I think they're nice and they're fun and they're really cool, but like, I don't know if they're what keeps a relationship going. And I think a lot of people have a skill set like that can fall short in other areas. That's just like a general thought on that. Because I think, you know, people who are willing to have deep conversations, they're not necessarily easy to find. So when they do, they can feel very intoxicating, you know, because they are hard to find. And there's plenty of people who are willing to do it, but they're not, like, especially with men, I think you can, you know, it's a skill set to want to do that, right? But that doesn't necessarily make them great partners in other areas. And I do think it's a huge red flag for a guy to shoot something down that is, it's such an easy thing for him to say yes to. He has no reason to say no to it other than he is just unflexible and he is not willing to consider your needs. And he thinks that either what he is providing you should be good enough. That's kind of the energy he's bringing by saying no to that. He didn't say, well, he didn't even, like, it was an immediate no. It wasn't like, oh, really? Like, why do you, like, how would you like to do that? How would you like to incorporate it? Why would you like to incorporate it? How does it make you, you know, for a guy who's used to going deep, why isn't he going deep about like the efficacy, why you guys should use a dildo or a vibrator or whatever? You know, why isn't he like going deep on that type of conversation?
For sure, which is definitely like was an instant concern. So I am curious to maybe have that conversation with him just to see like what his fears are about it. Because yeah, maybe there's something I don't know. It's
a weird thing to have.
I know,
such
and
a hard
that's what
position
concerned me. I'm like, if we can't even get through a vibrator, like I just like don't want to be like limited either. I want us to like be adventurous.
Because like when you fast forward in a relationship, I just never want to, I don't want an immediate no to almost anything, especially something that doesn't hurt the relationship, you know, or you're not asking them to do something dangerous or violate some sort of like personal like boundary that they have or non-negotiable, you know, and my girlfriend or wife or woman partner wanting to, you know, use a sex toy of any kind should never be a non-negotiable. And the fact that it's a non-negotiable for him is concerning.
For sure. I agree.
I mean, he's the only one of the two that's demonstrated a red flag.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they each, I mean, like everybody's not perfect, right? So I think they definitely each have like some other like minor concerns, but like overall, I feel like these are both really solid, dreamy guys.
What are the minor concerns?
I think, okay, so with like sexy man, I mean, they're long distance situations, which can't last forever either. And so he's really like not willing to budge on leaving where he's at.
Okay, that's not
and I
that's a big
own
deal.
a business, so I can't necessarily like pick up everything and leave. So that's also a concern for like future down the line.
It's a fairly big concern. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think it's because I'm not necessarily like, I'm not a complete no on like moving to where he is, but it's just like not going to be able to happen in the immediate future because
what's immediate?
I'm kind of.
What's he do for?
I would say probably like in the next like couple years.
Okay, that's a while. What does he do for work?
He's a lawyer.
And is he like trying to be a partner at a practice?
No. But he does work for like a rather large company.
Gotcha. And like relocation's out of the question?
Yeah.
What are their ages?
They are 32 and 33.
Okay, that's about the same age. What's your gut tell you? Who do you miss more when you're not seeing them?
I mean, my gut really tells me to like go with sexy man, but I just want to be cautious that I'm not like, you know, digmatized.
Yeah.
And I also, that was like a big thing that was missing from my previous relationship. And so I just want to be, I just want to make sure that I'm thinking with like my head and my heart.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and to me, it almost sounds like you're too cautious about the sex that you're enjoying, and you're judging yourself for potentially being shallow because you like the sex so much. But I heard I could be hanging on a cardboard box with this guy and having fun.
Yeah, that's all fair. Yeah.
I think
That's
you're.
all
I think
true.
I do think you need to really address the long distance with him because you're running a business. And while maybe you could leave in a couple years, like that's a big fucking deal. Like running and starting a business is really hard to do. It takes a lot of time and energy. I'm sure you've invested a lot of yourself in this business, and 2 years of long distance is a lot for any relationship. And so
For sure.
you
And
guys,
it's worked out great now because we're both so busy with work. So it's really
you
nice
also have
to
another
have
boyfriend.
that
So like,
space.
it's just like, oh, he's busy.
But
He
yeah,
can't visit. Yeah. So
but that is the thing. Yeah. When I'm like making a commitment to someone, there's like new expectations. And so, yeah, so I just want to, that is like, yeah, definitely a concern because so far it's been fine, but I don't know how that's going to play out in the future.
here's what I think you should do. I feel
Okay. Tell me.
like you're leaning towards sexy man, but there's a huge potential problem. That is the long distance. It's also an out on your part. So I think you go to sexy man and you say, I'm feeling stronger, or however you want to say it. I'm really loving what we're doing. I'm developing feelings for you. I think about the potential of a future with you. I hope you feel the same. Let's assume he says, yeah, babe, totes, love our time together. And then you say, well, I mean, can we talk about the elephant in the room, which is like, if we really do this, like if we commit to each other, we stop dating anyone else, because like, what are your long-term relationship goals? What are they? Do you want to get married?
I am interested in finding like a person to spend the rest of my life with. I don't know if that is necessarily marriage. Like my aspiration isn't marriage and kids, but it is to find a person.
All right. So you say that, right? I want to be in a committed monogamous relationship with one person. I want to build in that relationship, and I really like what we're doing so far. But we're long distance, and as much as I like what we're doing, like this has been working out for us now because we're not in an exclusive relationship. We are both busy, and so our ability to kind of see each other when it fits our schedules is kind of been the perfect recipe for us. But realistically, if we both decide to prioritize each other more and really focus on this relationship and try to build on this long distance has become more of an issue. And can we have a conversation about what that looks like? And you need to see whether he's if he's willing to have the conversation. Because he might say like, hey, listen, babe, like, this is great, but like at the end of the day, like, I'm not moving. And so like, I just don't know if I really see us getting more serious unless you live here. Cause like, I don't really want to be in I think you just need to this could be your first deep conversation. And I think you need to have some very clear answers, because right now, again, like the long distance has worked because of these other variables, some of which you're willing to get rid of or need to get rid of to advance this relationship. But you're going to start having greater expectations. You're going to want more from him. You're going to be relying on him more to meet those emotional needs that this other guy's really picking up the slack. And what happens when he's too busy or too unavailable, or he's too busy being a lawyer and you don't get to see him for a few weeks? How are you guys going to stay connected in a relationship? And you need to be able to have this conversation with him. And that conversation, I think, can go a long way to helping you determine whether this guy can work out. If he says all the right things, I think maybe you have your choice. If you guys come to a standstill where it's just like, well, this makes me really sad, because he's like, hey, I think you're great, but like, I just don't know realistically how I could move with my big corporate lawyer job. Maybe that helps give you an answer, and then you, if it turns out sexy man's is not your guy because long distance, you can't figure out a solution to your long distance problem, because long distance is a temporary solution. Like, it can work. Natalie and I's relationship started long distance. It can be a lot of fun in the beginning. It's so great to miss each other, you know?
Mhm.
But over time, you need to find a way to make it, you know, not long distance. And then if sexy guy doesn't work out because you can't find a solution to long distance, you can go back to Mr. I Hate Vibrators and just say, hey, can I talk about this? You know, I think you have the right to say it. If I'm being honest, like I was a little caught off guard that you were so unwilling to have a conversation about this. And I'd love to talk about why, or I'd love to understand why. There's also option 3, which is neither of these guys are your guy. That you met 2 really nice guys and their ability to balance each other out makes both of them seem better than they are.
That's a fair point. And definitely crossed my mind as well.
Because I think in a good way, they both have a big red flag. You know, sex guy, it's not so much his red flag, it's just maybe the situation, you know, and maybe it could be a compatibility thing. It's just like, hey, as much as we like each other, like our lives are not lined up and I need someone who can line up with my life, you know?
Right.
It's still a red flag for the relationship. The other guy has more specific red flag to him, but maybe like he can grow from this. This is like, hey, sex is important to me. I want to have a healthy sex life with my partner. And that includes the ability to have flexibility and open conversations and the willingness to kind of say yes and try things. You know, I want to be adventurous in bed. And as long as I'm not like, you're not asking him to like have you strap on a dildo and, you know, he's like, yeah, I don't want someone to fuck me in the ass. Like, you know, he would have the right to say no to that. But like, this isn't anything you're asking to do to him. You're not asking him to like be okay with anything that he has, you know, this is you doing something for yourself and him finding a way to support that and incorporate that and be okay with having a sidekick. You know, it's a very reasonable ask.
Yeah, I'm interested like to talk to both of them. Like, I just kind of want to know why no vibrator guy is so against it. And yeah, because who knows, like maybe that will help us grow that part of our relationship too.
I do think you should address one at a time. I think you need to stop doing simultaneous relationships because your goal, it sounds like, is to make a decision and choose one or the other. And I think, I think we should start with the guy who you think might be slightly in the lead, which is sex guy. And then you try to address this long distance problem. And that might give you the clarity you need because it's going to get more confusing if you try to tackle it simultaneously and get the answers from both of them that you wanted, you know?
Great advice. Yeah. Okay. Lead
with everything you like. Lead with all the things that excite you about it. State your intentions. I'm definitely open to seeing where this is. I think maybe we're ready to do this, but what does doing this look like for us? Because I have some real concerns about how are we going to make this work. And you guys and we'll just figure it out is not an acceptable answer.
So really like having a plan.
Some kind of plan, yeah. You have to both be able to hold each other accountable because it's a big thing. You're both going to have to make sacrifices. You guys are going to have to get on a plane. You're going to have to spend some money on traveling. You're going to have to invest in this relationship. And you're going to have some kind of plan as to what this looks like to not be long distance. Because it does take a toll.
Okay.
And the only reason why it's not taking a toll right now is because you have some other guy, keeping you company.
Yep. Okay. Fair point.
All right.
Now I know how I sound like a fuckboy.
It's okay. You're allowed to be.
I'm just kidding.
You're allowed to be a fuckboy every once in a while, you know? Go off, queen. Do not accept I don't do sex toys as an acceptable answer.
Noted.
Well, thank you for calling. Please keep us posted. We are dying to know who you end up with.
Okay, will do. I'll keep you all posted.
Okay,
right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. It's a wild, wild week. Excited that you're with us. Thank you, as always, for all the love. Give us some 5 stars if you feel like it. We'll see you back tomorrow. Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.